had been the coloniser since 1814, since we fought off the Napoleonic French. But in 1968, Mauritius went for independence, but the Chagos Islands stayed with us. But the Chagosians ultimately were forced to leave their homeland. They went to Mauritius. They had a pretty unhappy, unpleasant time in Mauritius. And they finished up here. There's even a colony of 3,500 of them living just outside Crawley. So these people have had just the most rotten deal over the course of now nearly 60 years. But where do they come in to this decision? Well, I'm going to speak to Jean-Francois Nellan, who is the spokesman for Chagosian Voices, and he joins me down the line from Derby. And Jean-Francois, very pleased to have you on the programme again. Did the Foreign Secretary, did he at any point negotiate with your community?
Unfortunately not. Again, the voice of Chagosian is not well represented in books and journals. Chagosian has not been consulted at any stage of the political or even legal journey, including removal from the island, transfer to Mauritius and the Seychelles, or by the International Court of Justice and by the United Nations. The attendance of or participation of a handful of Chagosian at public events and hearing has been treated as if we were represented by all Chagosian. And the last couple meeting which the foreign minister did last month, they specifically said they won't be talking about negotiation. And that was on the 30th of September. And 6 days later, Minister Doughty announced that they are going to give away the island to Mauritius without our consent.
Would you like, I mean, given that Diego Garcia is the military base, would you like to go back to the islands and settle somewhere else?
Well, majority people would like to go back. And they say they are not against the military base.
Okay.
They have made it clear, and they know that military base, and they can cohabitate with it. And yes, they would like to go back under British protection, like they have been said.
Would you not go back if it's owned by Mauritius?
Mauritius does not recognize the Chagosian. We have been treated like unfairly in Mauritius, and they're still denying our right. So how can we go back under Mauritian sovereignty?
Yeah, you're in a difficult position. Well, look, I have to say, I express this not just on behalf of myself, but I think on behalf of all decent people, that ever since 1968, your community has been treated abominably, and it continues to be treated that way. And we are going to make sure on this channel, I promise you, that your voice gets heard, because for you to be ignored in all of this is a disgrace. Thank you for joining me.
And this is what the community is asking. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I get it. Thank you. Thank you. Something really interesting there, George, that he says we as Chagosians do not object to the base. We just want to go back to our homelands, and there are a series of islands that can be settled. The island number 2 is actually quite sizable, but we want to do it under the Brits because of the way. So even though we didn't treat them very well, it looks like the Mauritians treated them even worse, if you believe their side of the story. We've also got a Trump administration, and I'd be very surprised. I mean, this is, by the way, Chagos Islands is not top of Donald Trump's intro right at the moment.
Ukraine is, yeah.
But, of course.
Yeah.
But when we get a Secretary of State, when we get a Defence Secretary in Washington, this will be somewhere in their in tray. And I, having spoken to people very close to Trump, they are deeply worried about whether a 99-year-old leasehold deal can work, given that the 50-year one